The mission of my Veteran Foodie podcast is to educate you, the military connected foodie entrepreneur, by inviting different industry professionals on, whether they run their own small business in the food industry or if they're professionals in their own right, whether that be marketing, consumer packaged goods, e commerce, basically anything that I think might be valuable for your foodie business. In this episode, I was fortunate to invite on Mike Starr, Air Force veteran. He runs Blazing Star BBQ, which is a product focused business. He's also a big content creator. In this episode, we'll speak about his massive social media presence and how it positively impacts his business, specifically TikTok in particular. He's got about 350,000 followers, which directly translates into more sales for his business. We also spoke about the importance of surrounding yourself with positive people, personally and for your business. We also speak about his massive success getting his product into Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's, and some other retailers. Very big achievement from him, starting as an E1 in the Air Force 20-something years ago to ending up where he's at now. All right, I'm pumped to have Mike Starr on from Blazing Star BBQ. I'm pretty sure you're my first Air Force vet, Mike, so welcome
All
on.
right, let's break it in right then. I appreciate you having me, brother.
Hey, absolutely, man. Appreciate you on the show, Then we got connected LA Pepper Exchange, Louisiana Pepper Exchange.
Yep,
They did
that's
a
correct.
little veteran campaign. I saw you pop up and I was like, oh man, this guy cooks some good shit. So I was pumped to have you on.
Well, cool, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
So tell me about your Air Force experience a little bit. What'd you do in the Air Force?
Well, I started out as like satellite wideband communications, so like satellite and microwave radio communications. More of a ground guy at first, meaning I deployed with the Army, worked with like Patriot ballistic missile battery guys. So we were like the forward deployment on the communication side. So we would provide the air picture for the aircraft, early missile warning type stuff. Did that for a mixture of about 5 years. And then I took a job at Offutt Air Force Base where I was part of the Airborne Pentagon, known as the National Airborne Operations Center. We basically followed the president around. Wherever he went, we went. Stayed within 2 hours of him. The same time frame, we took the SecDef, SecState, Joint Chiefs of Staff all over the world. So we were their command and control center, communications basically for them. During that time frame, that was also when 9/11 hit. So a lot of interesting stuff during that time period. Then I took a job in the Las Vegas area. Did that for about 5 years before I went to Korea. And then from Korea, I went back to Vegas, where I finished up my career in 2015. So 21 years in the U.S. Air Force.
Nice, congrats on that. By the way, that's a big achievement right there.
Thanks, man. Fun times, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of crazy stuff, but it's what makes it fun, exciting, and adventurous.
Yeah, interesting. And it never surprises me how diverse each branch of the military is. Me being in the Coast Guard, we're so small, but the Air Force, the Army, everything, you guys have such a different work structure than I'm used to with the Coast Guard. I feel like so it's interesting. Your different unit working with the Army like that.
Yeah,
it's so unique.
Yeah, when I was with the Airborne Pentagon job, it was joint assignment. So we worked with Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines on a regular basis, right? We actually had different teams. So one was like a Army team, one was like an Air Force team, one was like a Navy Marine team, so
kidding.
it was, so depending on, what team you were on. And my job out there, because we were so undermanned in our position, it was nothing for me to bounce back between different teams. Whereas most people would be assigned to a team and they would go out with that team the whole time they were there, where I would kind of bounce around, especially on the special mission trips. I'd always get called up to do those trips. So pretty good time. Got to see some cool stuff. Got to see some stuff I didn't want to see, but it was all good, right? I mean, it was part of the journey, part of the experience, and yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. For my own experience, I worked on ships, but we only dealt with, I guess, the Navy and the Marines a little. We had some secret squirrels on our
Right.
ship, but that was about the
Hmm.
extent of it. So whenever I'd see another branch in the military during my time active duty, I'd look at them like they had two heads. I was like, what do you guys do?
Right. Right.
So that's cool though. That's neat. What was your favorite station out of the whole time in?
That's a tough one. Uh, all great assignments. Um, man, I would say Korea, and I only say that because I learned a lot about myself
Hmm.
in that 13-month period. Meaning, I was always used to being kind of a go-to guy. So uh, not a lot of responsibilities as far as like uh, taking care of troops and being in a leadership position. I was always more of a like kind of specialty guy that was, full reins of my job. I could do whatever I needed to do, and I was expected to do it, but didn't have the responsibilities of having to like babysit people, so
Mm-hmm.
to speak. And I avoided Korea like the plague because I didn't want to be in that babysit position. I ended up being in charge of 30 men and women, you know, and it was something I didn't want to do, but I turned out, coming out of it, like, man, I learned so much out of it. I figured out that that was actually more of my calling, to kind of lead people, guide people, mentor people. Uh, and yeah, so I would kind of say that in that fashion, right? Just because I feel like I learned the most about myself in that assignment.
Yeah, that makes sense. They say one of the harder things to do is to manage others, right? And specifically, I feel
Yes,
like across the board in the military, babysit is the common word for it because
right,
sometimes
for
it
sure.
might be,
Well, especially in a place like Korea, right?
hmm
Most of the people that were coming over there were in their early 20s, you
yeah,
know, and at that time frame, I was in my mid 30s, right?
hmm
I had kids, right? I didn't want to. I didn't want to babysit kids, right? that had alcohol and everything else at their exposure, right?
oh yeah,
So yeah. So, anyways,
cool.
I gave it to them as a mentality. Said, hey, look, I'm a work hard, play hard guy. Good luck working harder than me, and good luck playing harder than me. And they took it as a challenge, and I took it as a challenge too. So
That's great. No, I completely agree. You learn a lot about yourself, managing others and being responsible for other people. So that's
for sure.
interesting. So I'm gonna guess your this station might be the same for this answer, but what was your favorite food spot? Was it Korea as well? Traveling around there?
Definitely that's probably pretty close to it,
Yeah.
right? I definitely I did a lot of. I would say actually it was my job at Offutt because I literally got to travel all over the world. So
Hmm.
you name it, from third world countries to you know exotic places, right? I I got to experience so many things, so many different cultures during that 5 year period. I was gone about 265 days out of the year,
Oh wow.
so one week I would be in three different countries. The next week I'd be home, and then a week later I'd be in another country or two different countries or three different countries, in a 7-10 day period. So yeah, I got to experience so many different cultures, and like I said, one day at one time it might be in Europe, the next time it might be in Asia, next time it might be in Australia.
Hmm.
So uh, as a foodie aspect, although Korean uh, uh, food in general resonates with me more
hmm
than most others. I would say the experience at Offutt Air Force Base, flying around the country, was the most.
That makes a lot of sense. That's what I love talking to different vets about their travels too, because even though if you were just stationed in one spot, obviously for a few years, you more than
Mm-hmm.
likely traveled multiple destinations, and I think that's something that people don't
Exactly.
don't understand as much sometimes when first meeting a vet or hearing about the military. So that's
Right.
uh, that's cool to hear. I feel like that's a distinct part about why vets have vets in general have strong opinions about everything pretty much under the sun, but about food in particular, because they travel so much and get immersed in that foodie culture. So it's that's always a neat part about it too, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Most people, nothing against it, but most people in the States, their experience of Korean, Chinese,
Mm-hmm.
German, Thai, Mexican, it's what's in their backyard, right?
Yep.
They actually haven't went to the backyards of these
Mm-hmm.
countries and had like authentic food, authentic street food and stuff
Oh
like
yeah.
that. So, there's a huge difference,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of a way I started doing a lot of stuff that I do, is because I would go to those countries and try something, and then I would come back to the States and I would look for something similar, and I could never find anything similar. If I could find stuff that was called the same thing or looked the same thing, but it would never
Yeah.
be the same, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of one of the things that started me on my food journey, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a fun look at it too. I know on my ship we pretty much stick through the coast of Central America a lot, pulling in each port, and me and my
Mm-hmm.
cooking buddy Eddie in particular, along with other cooks, we try to replicate each dish. And I think one of the favorite ones we
Mm-hmm.
replicated was like the whole fried snapper over in Panama. We had a lot. We
Nice.
like ate
Yep,
it
I've
every
had
day.
that. Yeah.
Oh man, it's
Yeah.
so
So
simple, but
good.
it's so tasty. It's so
Yeah,
good. We would get
for
like
sure.
cases at stores to offload for the next few months or whatever, and we'd cook it up every midnight meal pretty much. It was good.
Fresh ingredients always makes the
So good.
difference.
So good, right? That's cool though. I think
Yep.
one of the strangest things I ate on a port call was probably like, I don't know if it was for sure horse meat, but we're pretty sure it was horse meat. We all spoke kind of like Spanglish, and it was like a street meat
uh,
cart. But I
yep.
mean, it was good. We didn't feel so great the next day though, but it was good going down.
So I've had horse meat
Have you?
myself in
Okay.
Italy, and it was the toughest meat I've ever had.
Yeah, it's tough,
So
right?
yeah, it's very
Huh.
tough. It was funny because I marinated the heck out of it, and I was like, yeah, I was excited about it. I picked it up at this butcher, shop in Italy, southern Italy,
Hmm.
and yeah, it was the toughest meat. I went back to the guy and said, "Hey, what is this?" And he literally was like, "Roar," like that. I said, "Okay, where's the?" Roar? And he pointed it out. I said, "Okay, next time I know what I get."
That's pretty good. That's funny right there. Cool, Mike. So, all right. So, Mike, you're a pretty humble guy, but your business, I mean, just looking at your social media alone, you're booming. You got what is it, 350,000 followers on TikTok, and the rest. I mean, what is we talked about it a little last week, but what's the importance of social media for business? How's it boomed your business?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, in today's society and in today's world, there's no better way to reach your customer than through social media, right? Uh, uh, if you want to just stay in your backyard and you're comfortable with being in your backyard with your business, whether it be a brick and mortar business or a business like mine where you have a product based business, that's fine if that's what you're looking for. But if you want to take it to a next level and you want to try to make it, you know, a nationwide brand per se, then you've got to utilize social media. And honestly, I see social media even for with food trucks and restaurants locally being big for them. You've got foodies that go out there and review like Keith Lee, that could blow up your restaurant or food truck overnight, right? So the utilization of social media, being able to touch so many people, through one 30, 45 second, 1 minute video clip, you just don't know, right? I mean, I avoided TikTok like the plague, right? Because of my military background, right? I was told, oh, China, blah blah blah, this, that, and other, right? Hey, they all deal with it. Whatever, you're not safe. I could go into full details on that. I used to own a social media company, and that's a whole nother realm of talks. But you know, there's no control of it. But at the end of the day, right? If you utilize it for your good and for your benefit, it can reap rewards. I never forget the first video that I did get on TikTok that, somebody else posting a video with my product went viral, and I wake up to 100 orders. You know, when you're used to like a handful of orders, overnight, to wake up to 100 orders, that's game changing, right? And then now if you get those 100 orders get into those people's hands, and then let's say 10 of those people enjoy the product, hopefully all 100, right? But if only 10, and then they spread it, right? And then they spread and they spread, and it's just, like wildfires, gangbusters, so you just can't beat the reach of social media today, and you can't just utilize one platform. You've got to utilize every platform that's out there. One day, TikTok might be the best app. The next day, YouTube might be the next app, and Facebook, and so on. And then there'll be another app that'll come created down the road that you need to jump on. So yeah, I can't speak enough about the importance. You got to just utilize it for your benefit.
Yeah, it sounds incredibly impactful, especially waking up to 100 orders after just having a handful. I mean, I heard somebody explain it once to me before, which I enjoyed and I kind of held on to. Even if you have, say, a following of 50 people, put those 50 people in real life in a room and you're speaking to 50 people. I'm going to be kind of nervous speaking to 50, but then multiply that by X and you're speaking to a lot of real people who are viewing your content, which is pretty incredible.
I'm about to go next month to the National Barbecue and Grill Association conference called the NBBQA, right? 3 years ago, I went there first time, right? They put me on a social media panel. The social media panel consisted of some of the legends in the barbecue industry, right? Matt Pittman of Meat Church, Big Mo Cason, another veteran, Navy veteran, doing big in the industry, Junior Reyes, several people, right? Brad and Brooke Lewis from the Shed Barbecue. Anyways, I'm on this stage and one of the guys asked me, like, how do you measure ROI with social media, right? And this individual was old school. He was a web blogger, actually still to this day, I think owns the largest barbecue website in the world, right? Okay. And he's asking me this, right? Because he doesn't agree with social media at the time frame, his mindset, right? And he's trying to grasp it. And he wants to know what's the ROI. And I said, well, first of all, I explained the story about waking up to 100 orders, right? The next I told him, I said, now I'm standing in front of you on this stage with all these legends in barbecue, and you're getting to hear my story for the first time frame. If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't be on this stage standing here with these legends telling you my story and everybody else listening to it. So, and now I'm in Bass Pro and Cabela's and about to launch in Home Depot and some other stores moving forward in the new year. So if that's not an ROI, I don't know what is.
That's a great point. It's that's an absolute great point. It might not be the stereotypical ROI people are listening to usually, like the numbers on the board and the specific metrics, but that intangible metric in itself. It's great story to explain that
organic,
one.
Right?
Yeah, that's pretty incredible right there. And people, speaking to our mill vets listening in who are thinking about starting a business after they get out of the military or whatever, maybe they're cooking stuff in their home kitchen right now. Should people start with just one social media platform, say an Instagram or TikTok, or should they
I definitely think you want to establish all, okay? Establish them all, period, right? And post on them all, right? I mean, you can put your focus on one, but still post on all, right? So meaning maybe your focus is, I'm trying to figure out the algorithm of this one, right? But still post on the other platforms because you want to start that, right? You don't want to come back and like, oh, I should have started this one first, right? Because you don't know what's going to hit, right? This is what I tell people about content. First of all, everything is content. Everything is content. The post that doesn't go viral is the post that you don't post, right?
I like that.
So, I mean, you got to take advantage of the opportunity while it's good, try different things, while you're doing it. Like I said, you can focus on one, but still give the attention to the others at the same time frame.
I like that. I like that saying. That's a good one for anybody listening in. Post. Get it going,
That's it. Consistency is everything. Consistency is everything. I notice it when I drop off on stuff, right? I only owe myself to blame. I look at it, I'm like, well, you know what? I wasn't consistent, so that's why I'm dropping off.
Yeah, fair enough, right? So with that, so tell me about your first round of videos. How'd those go? Were they a little awkward at first? How'd you get into it?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. At first I was doing pictures just
Yeah.
like everybody else, mostly on Instagram. So I started my business on Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and it wasn't until, so I started my business technically May 31st, 2020 is when I technically started, even though I was kind of building up to that point. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't start a business license until that date. Anyways, I didn't jump on TikTok until November, right? Well, when I got on TikTok, I was noticing that was a trend. Like videos, you got to learn how to make videos. And here I'm over here, I'm trying to figure out how to be funny or something like that. You know what I mean? And then I just and I did some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely awkward. Some of the stuff I would take like 100 takes to try to make something. And then eventually you start getting comfortable with stuff. I still to this day, I look back at my content from 3 years ago and be like, dang, I was terrible, so yeah, it was definitely, awkward at first, but it's something you got to get used to it. I tell people, I hear the story like, oh, I'm too old for this shit, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, I'm 47 years old, this isn't my background. I'm not a videographer. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not I didn't have anything to do with this in my career. I'm not somebody that makes food recipe videos either. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? But I figured out that it was the best way for me to connect with people and show people how to utilize my products, right? I can't hold people's hands when they go into a store and they're trying to decide whether to buy my product or somebody else's product or whatever, right? But if I can get on there and show them ways to use my product, then now the next time they go out there, they're like, oh, you know what? I see that he's constantly using this with this or whatever. I'm going to try that. And then boom, it might be the one thing that gets them to buy my product and try it. And then if they fall in love with it, they're going to share it with their friends and family. And, it's just going to build from there.
That's right. It's like a snowball effect, right? How many people
For
do you think
sure.
see a great video and you have a ton on there and they start just binging probably, right? They just start scrolling through your whole
Yeah,
social media
for
probably.
sure. Yeah, yeah. No, I'll see it. I see, you'll see somebody when they find my page for the first time frame, and next thing you know, they're liking, multiple posts or commenting on multiple posts. Yeah.
And now I got to imagine when you first started, you were probably doing all the social media posting yourself. Do you still do it yourself or do you have a team?
I still do
Nice.
everything myself. I have a team of guys that are
Mm-hmm.
part of my team, so to speak. Social media, you know, they make their own posts and
Mm-hmm.
do stuff like that. But yeah, every content you see me post, I make it all. I just did a master class type thing with a couple. He was a Army vet, and I was showing them how I do it. And I told them, I said, hey, you've got a husband and wife team that's willing to work together. You've got it made. Y'all can help each other. I was like, I'm one man, so if I can do it, y'all can do it.
There you go, right? All you need is an iPhone and some Wi-Fi, right, to get started.
That's it. That's it. A good tripod goes a long ways too.
There you go.
Lighting helps. Lighting is always key. Uh,
That's good.
so
That's good advice too. I know I look back at some of my first videos too a few years back, and they're laughable too, but it's great to see the progression as long as you're moving forward, right?
yeah,
It means something
it's the
good.
evolution, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Evolve or dissolve, right? I
Yeah.
had a CEO tell me that one time: evolve or dissolve, right? So, it's a constant evolution. You know, uh, if you're not trying to get better, at your craft, then maybe that's not the craft for you.
Yeah, fair.
So,
Good point. Good point. So with that, now that you're pretty expansive on social media, do you have a lot of bigger brands reaching out to you to do social media partnerships?
yeah, a lot, and that's kind of the hardest part for me early on was like I was gaining exposure, getting the followers, but I wasn't getting the brand deals,
Hmm.
right? That others were getting paid for, right? Uh, so But I figured out it was because I was a brand, right? Companies were looking at me as a brand, right? And so I wasn't getting those brand deals per se. And as we move forward and as I advanced, more and more companies, it was funny. I had companies that I would reach out to and talk to, and they wouldn't give me a brand deal, right? But then next thing you know, I'm seeing them posting other people's videos, right? That's using my products, right? You know, and so as that happened more and more and more, other brands, larger companies started realizing like, hey, if we can get people that are using Blazing Star barbecue products using our products, it's going to help, with our brand. And so more and more companies started to want to work with me. And the companies that are still working with me see constantly that they're picking up more and more, customers, through me using their products, my team of guys using their products, and so on. So, yeah, it's definitely cool to see that evolve and change. And I'm always about helping others. I mean, at the end of the day, it helps each other. My goal was to be on the same shelf. That's my goal, right? I want to be in a conversation. This isn't a competition. Flavor is subjective, right? What you like might not be what I like, right? So that's why I also try to stick to being unique. I don't want to be a copy of anything that's out there. I get people ask me all the time, why don't you come out with this? Why don't you come out with this? I'm like, there's like 8 million of those out there on the market. Go buy one of the other ones. Mm-hmm. I want to be unique. I want to stand out. I want to be different than what else is on the market.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. It kind of goes into, I see a lot of people on social media will do different collaborations with other content creators. And it seems like you're kind of tapping into their audience and vice versa. And it's just kind of sharing is caring, right?
Yeah, it's it. I mean, you're going to utilize my audience and I'm going to utilize your audience and we both win, right? Mm-hmm. You can't beat that, right? Yeah. So every opportunity I get with something like that, especially if it aligns mm-hmm. with what I'm doing, it makes sense. I mean, just like a charcoal company, right? I mean, mm-hmm. obviously I need charcoal, right? Yeah. So if I'm working with a charcoal company that I love, right, it also makes a difference too, right? Because if I enjoy the product and love the product, it's easy for me to talk about it and mm-hmm. sell it, to other people too. So I think that's important too when you're picking brands that you're working with. Mm-hmm. Pick brands that you can connect with and you can speak on. You love it because at the end of the day, if you love it, then it's going to come across, more. And people are going to see it more as organic instead of like a paid ad or something like that, mm-hmm. So I think that's key too when you're building those brand relationships with other companies.
Makes sense. So any specific advice to the mill vets who have these food businesses into reaching out to content creators to promote their brands?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of look at it this way, right? You don't want to just reach out to somebody, right? I say connect with those people. When I say that, support them, right? This is my biggest pet peeve. People reach out to me and they're like, they message me and they go, oh, I'd love you to try out I'd like for you to send me some products or this or vice versa, or whatever. And I go, look, and they just started following me, right? Support people first. So it goes both ways. So what I mean that is if you're a business and I want somebody to support me, then I need to support them, right? So maybe it's a big content creator that has like 1 million followers. I'll give you a perfect example, Wood Fire and Whiskey, Army veteran, right? But I liked his content. I didn't just like message him and be like, yo, here's my products, blah, blah, blah. I started connecting to him, watching his content, speaking, commenting on his comment, interacting. He would go live. I'd interact with him. We found out through that he was an Army vet and I was Air Force, right? And so we connected on another level because of that, right? Next thing you know, I'm like, hey, man, here's some products, man. I've already built a connection. I built a relationship with him. So now when he tries my products, he's not going to be like somebody else. He's like, mm-hmm. I've got like 1 million followers, right? Everybody sends me products left and right. Yeah. he's going to choose and try my products because I've built that relationship. I've connected with him. I've supported him, right? And so now he has a reason to support me. I tell people all the time, support is a two-way street, you know? So, you know, that's the route I take, and that's the route I have taken, and it's worked well for me. And I've built long-time relationships through that too. So,
Yeah, it's well said. It sounds like build a relationship instead of just a network, right? You're building a relationship with these people.
yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
So with that, let's talk about your relationship with Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's. Tell me how that experience went.
So, well, actually, through MBBQA, I'll take it back. You know, I was there at that conference. That same year I was at that conference, this company, Old World Spices, uh, the lady that was running a program, a VIP pitmaster program they had, she heard me speak a couple times, and you know, at the event, and I was outside cooking and open fire. She came up and talked to me. Anyways, she wanted to work with me, right? Well, this company, what they have is they have distribution deals in place. So they're a co-packing company, they're a distribution company, they're a broker company, like all in one, right? So bottom line, we started working together, and you know, they're the ones that push, you know, to get me in Bass Pro and Cabela's. We just did the launch about 2 months ago. It seems to be doing really well. We're hoping to go nationwide with them. We're in like 51 stores all over the U.S. You know, some states have multiple ones that we're in, and like I said, I feel like we're going to end up going nationwide with them because I think our sales are doing really well there in Bass Pro and Cabela's, and we're going to launch in Home Depot January 9th in the southeast region initially, and hopefully going nationwide by spring of 2024. So we'll initially be in 91 stores and hoping to be in 2,300 Home Depot stores by the spring. But yeah, that just comes from, once again, you know, out there networking, social media. It's a whole gamut of stuff that you have to do. I kind of say with my new business partner I have an adventure going on with, we got to have an air and a ground game. He's an Army veteran, I'm an Air Force veteran, so we got to have the air and ground game, and you know, combination. Got to do it by sea.
That's right.
You know, you got to use all your options.
Very neat. So Mike, when you joined the Air Force, what did you join as, an E2 or E3?
E1. Yeah, I was
an
E1. Yeah, slick sleeve. You know, I should have. Looking back on it, I should have did the 6 years so I could have came in automatic E3. But you know, hey, you learn from your decisions.
How about that? So E1, you're probably making like a couple $100 a paycheck or something. You ever think you'd be running
nothing.
something like this and Bass Pro Shops and everything?
No, for sure. It's definitely a crazy moment. I mean, when I went down to San Antonio, I was down there for an open fire event. Didn't know I was going to be in that Bass Pro in San Antonio, Texas. I knew that we were going to be in the Dallas-Fort Worth one, but didn't know we were going to be in the San Antonio one. So I found out that we were going to be in the San Antonio one because somebody had just literally went there and saw it. So I was like, man, I had to go. And then my son happened to be in Houston, Texas. He came down. So I got to share that moment. It's a pretty cool moment, you know, sitting back thinking about that. Almost 30 years ago, I was a basic training at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas. And here my products are in Bass Pro in San Antonio, Texas. So definitely a surreal moment, you know, something I never imagined. I mean, I did this stuff. I started this because I enjoyed, you know, cooking, experimenting, you know, but more for friends and family. You know, I was always that guy that, you know, after I got done cooking, I was looking to see, you know, watching everybody's faces to see when they took that first bite, get their facial expression, be like, that was like my feel good moment then, you know, and now my feel good moment is seeing my products, you know, in places like Bass Pro, Cabela's, and like I said, Home Depot and some other stuff. You know, we're looking to do a lot more things in 2024. So it's like, you know, it's definitely wild.
That is wild, man. You gave me chills. That's a good story. That's a pretty impressive story you got there. So with that,
I appreciate
few
it.
more wrap up stories. You know, if you could go back to when you just kickstarted your business, what would you tell your old self?
Uh, jump on TikTok sooner. That would have been my first thing. Yeah, like straight up, if I'd have jumped on TikTok, because it was a window, right? I hit a window, but I didn't hit the best window. The best window was early 2020 was the best window for TikTok. So that's definitely one thing that I would have. I know it sounds like a crazy one, but it's definitely that. Uh, let's see. Anything else? I don't know. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I'm a very. It's weird to say that I wasn't a very patient person, in my early life. I'm more patient now. I'm more methodical now. Uh, I stayed with relationships longer in this process because, I put more of a focus on building relationships. Some of those have burnt me. Some of them have helped me big time, right? So I spend more time building those relationships. Like I said, some didn't work out and some did, but I wouldn't have done it any different because I needed to learn from those, right? I needed to learn from the bad situations. I needed to learn from the good situations.
That makes sense too. That's good advice. And speaking of more advice, so specifically speaking to our mill vet entrepreneurs, any specific advice for them? You know, if they're getting out of the military soon, what do you got for them?
Uh, well, if you're looking to get into it, study your industry, study it on social media, get into it, learn it. Uh, I'm actually starting a new business, like I said, with a veteran. We're called, it's going to be, I haven't talked about it publicly anywhere. It's called the Spice Advisors. It's going to be a coaching and consulting company that, we're specifically going to be out there helping people with coming to market, sourcing, advising, coaching, consulting, branding, marketing, looking to do different things to help. Branding is important. Marketing is important. I mean, all facets need to happen. You're going to make mistakes along the way, right? But it's a lot easier if you're connecting with people in your industry. Surround yourself around positive people, right? I can't speak that enough. Push negativity aside. I know we've got people that are out there that are really good friends of ours that are always negative. Well, I'm here to tell you it's going to bring you down. It's going to bring you down as much as you don't want to. I mean, you've got to give them help, but at some point, they've got to want to help themselves, right? And if they don't, you've got to move on because you've got to continue helping others. You've got to have help from others yourself. So the only way to do that is surround yourself around positive people, people that are going to celebrate your wins, people that are going to lift you up when you need to be lifted up. You know, it's I can't speak on that enough. It's changed my life. The power of positivity, power of positive thinking. If you want to be in an area, you got to surround yourself by people in that area. If you don't surround yourself with people in that area, you're never going to get in that area. You're going to be stuck back. So that's some of the best advice I can give.
Yeah, I truly appreciate that advice too. That's some great advice. I mean, I know for myself, first getting out of the military, I felt like I was falling like a down a weird black hole of nobody because you're surrounded by so many close people while you're in the military. You know, you get out and it's kind of
Yep.
lonely. And I was like that probably first 8 months or so after. They say 7 to 8 months right after the military is like the most lonely time. So if you got
Yep.
any
For
vets
sure.
getting out, reach out to them, hit them up, and just be there for them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I moved to a small town, right?
Yeah.
It was tough for me, right? Me finding this uh, business, creating this business, helped me connect with the people that I needed to connect with, right?
Hmm.
Because I was in that, right? I was in that funk. I was in that woe was me, lonely, everything else, right? But I tell you what, the only way to get out of that funk is to get yourself in an area where people are supporting you and taking you to the next level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not people that are or feeling sorry for you or pity or whatever. You need to be in an area where you're going to be motivated. You're going to want to do more. You want to make things better for yourself, your family, and everything else. So, I know it's I've been there. I've been at the bottom, and I know it's not a tough road, but I know there's only one way out, and that is surrounding yourself around the right people.
Yeah, 110% agree, Mike. That's great advice. So with that too, so how do we support your business? What do you sell online? Tell us your website, your social media handles.
Yeah. So my website is blazingstarbbbq.com. We're on all social medias as at blazingstarbbbq. Our products are on Amazon, so all of our products are on Amazon Prime. So, you can order your stuff in a lot of situations. You could have it the next day. We're like I said, we're going to be in most Bass Pros and Cabela's, and hopefully all Bass Pros and Cabela's by the spring. Home Depot launch. We're also going to be in Shields. A lot of mom and pops. If you know some mom and pops that don't carry our products, have them reach out. Let's get them in there. Let's put the products out there. And like I said, if you're looking to start up a new business, you needed some help taking it to the next level, whether it be branding, marketing, social media, sourcing, or you just need some advice, coaching wise, consulting, hit up the Spice Advisors. It's coming soon in early 2024.
Awesome, Mike. Well, it's great having you on, man. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate the opportunity. That's one thing I have to tell people also. Never miss an opportunity to tell your story. That's the only way people find out. And I thank you for the opportunity and your platform. And I'm looking forward to following along with the Veteran Foodie podcast.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.